New season, new chaos in college football.
Let's go!
Big stage, big opportunity.
This Labor Day weekend, the wildness lives on ABC, ESPN, and the all-new ESPN app.
What a way to start!
Featuring top 10 teams like Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, and LSU, and Bill Belichick's debut at North Carolina.
It's so special when these teams collide.
Don't miss a lineup filled with electric matchups.
Welcome back to college football.
Kickoff week presented by Modelo. Labor Day weekend on ESPN and ABC. Also available to stream on the all-new ESPN app.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
It's time for the show that brings the magic right to your speakers. Ears Up!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ears Up podcast. We are back. And look, man, this is a good show for you. I'm excited for this show, as I am most of our shows. Not every show, but most of our shows. This one is good. I've worked on this for about a week now. And I even had a team of minions for this one, Eric. I had a team of people checking on a certain fact about the show that we'll get into, at the end of my presentation. But today's show is about the House of the Future, the Monsanto House of the Future that used to be in Tomorrowland from 1956 to 1968, and maybe it was 1958. See, I forget. All the details about it, how it started. I even have the type of plastics that were involved in making of this thing. I got it all, baby. I got it all.
There's Bakelite.
There's no Bakelite. Spoiler alert.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I do mention it just for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But it's fascinating. And this is the stuff that I love. Like, this is why people always get it confused, which I understand, when I have a show about Disneyland, they don't hear Disneyland, they hear Disney. So they think I'm like a company guy. I love Mickey Mouse. I'm a whatever, right? I love all this stuff. People would buy me dolls and socks with like Mickey Mouse on them. Like, I appreciate it. Thank you. But that's not, I love the park's history and like digging into the why and how things were done and why they were done the way they were done and what was done and who designed it and who did the thing. That's what I really love about the parks.
It must be difficult to have so many fans so devoted to Jason Petros that they're like, here, please, I sewed this myself. It's a picture of Walt hugging Minnie Mouse.
I took my grandmother's last shawl. And, she's cold now, but your toesies will be nice and warm. Forget her anyway. She's old and only eats porridge. I'm talking about family for Christmas. Okay, Eric.
You know what? For Christmas. Christmas. Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is House of the Future, everybody, or as other people call it, House of Plastic. Because that's kind of
I never would call it that, but it is kind of that, isn't it?
That's literally what it was created for. We'll get into it, but it was really cool. I'm excited about it. I got a slideshow as well. So those of you who are watching live or who want to catch the YouTube, you'll be able to see the pictures that I found of stuff we're talking about. For those of you listening to the podcast, what we're going to do is do our best to describe what we're talking about. Most of these photos I pulled directly from the man himself, Dave Landweb. So you can go to davelandweb.com right now, look at the House of the Future, and I think he has like 190 something like that photos, many of which are in my presentation. Some are not. But it's a wealth of knowledge for stuff like this. So you can
be clear, it's 190 pictures of the House of the Future, not just 190 photos.
Yes, that's correct.
Period.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But you know what? I have noticed in looking through this that there weren't that many photos of the inside of the house.
People were so shocked.
Yeah, they're like, I can't take it. I'm too impressed. It's mostly outside of the house, which is good enough, but it's hard to find a lot of detail on the inside. Weird.
No, well, hey, that is interesting. Yeah, but it's always weird hearing, like, finding these little tidbits where somebody's like, oh, Dad loves to take pictures of his food.
Well, I was telling my friend, like, if this happened today, there would be social media would be a flutter with here's a picture of the corner of the house of the future.
I've set up my electronic microscope. Here is one of the isotopes in the middle of this wall.
We're gonna mass spec this whole place, brothers and sisters, and see what's going on. So anyway, House of the Future is what I'm going to be talking about. And if you want to go to Disneyland and see the place where the House of the Future used to be, at the corner of Tomorrowland, you can do that through Concierge. You can go to concierge.com right now. Book your next trip to Disneyland. We're going to be talking about a couple changes to Disneyland hotels and stuff later on in Disney News. So there's some relevant information there. But Concierge, everyone at Concierge told me what was happening first before I read about it online. So they know about it. They're official travel, they're official travel agents with the park. They're registered and trained or whatever. So they have all the information before the weird social media sites that you follow on TikTok have it. So they're going to know up front what's going to go on with your trip before anybody else. So check them out, concierge.com.
My goodness, were they talking about it?
I bet, man.
It's one of those chats where when I'm at work, I sometimes have to go mute.
Yes.
I'll read back later.
The mute button is my favorite feature in most things. It's just so good. It's so useful. It's so great.
Brian says boo changes. Oh.
Yeah. Boo, 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 change it. Yeah, it's, changes are happening, folks. That's what it is. Actually, Taryn was talking about going back to the parks, maybe in January.
Ooh, changes.
I'm like, oh, good. Because I saw her, like, on our bank app. I was like, oh, what are you doing? She says, nothing. Don't look at these numbers I wrote down. I was like, what are you doing? She goes, you're not going to like it. I'm like, yeah, well, try me. Turns out I didn't like it, but I don't know. We'll see. So we're contacting Concierge and we're starting the process, folks.
Well, so that is cool to hear. We're going in December, mid-December, and that is pre-changes. My wife was very concerned, but then when I told her what the changes were, she actually said, "Yay!" I'm like, "Oh no, it's before that."
Yeah, the changes I don't super care about, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we're the same. We'll get there. Yes, but we're never awake at that time.
Right, exactly, dude. Exactly. Also, for anybody watching on Twitch or later on YouTube, I apologize for my outfit, but it's currently 82.4 degrees in the studio, and I can't tell if it's climbing or not. So,
Well, you're in there, and computers are in there, so probably climbing.
I got three computers, 4 lights, 3 monitors, 2 cats. My stunning personality. It's a lot, dude. It's a lot.
Yes, I'm aware. Well, yes.
I am aware. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Huh? I think I've basically covered everything I want to cover.
You've got a lot of material to get through, and I have a tiny amount of material to get through, so go for it, man.
That's the way I like it, dude. All right, Eric, I want you to picture it. 1956. Scenes of a technologically advanced civilization flooded the senses of children everywhere. You couldn't escape it. From movies to comics to, well, I guess that's probably about all the visual media they had at the time, who knows? We'll leave that up to the paleontologists to tell us. But kids and some adults everywhere were clamoring for a glimpse of the future, driving a segment of consumerism that thirsted for new and wild. And the only person that could possibly bring it to them in any sort of timely fashion was Walter Disney. Now, when Disneyland opened in 1955, the park had its issues. We talked about that in Taryn's Taryn's show a couple shows back. And none of those issues stood out more than the entirety of Tomorrowland. Now, setting the scene here a bit, Tomorrowland was kind of already on life support. And I covered this personally a bit more on the show, The Space Race, how Disney influenced the space race, I believe is the name, about Ward Kimball and how he influenced the entire U.S. space program. But basically...
He told Werner von Braun, no, your rockets could be better.
Yes. Yeah, kind of. Really what Ward did is he kind of gathered all of these different sources and then went to Werner von Braun. He was like, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, maybe. And then they made a cartoon about it. So
it was a great episode.
It was good, man. I've seen that. I loved looking. That was so much fun to do. But anyway, basically, Walt approached Imagineer Ward Kimball to essentially do all the design work for Tomorrowland. Even though it was very last minute, it was pretty much the last land design, and Walter knew that Ward could handle it based off his previous kind of space-related futuristic works. And a lot of what Ward had dreamt up fell to the editor's eraser when the park opened, as the land's lofty goals collided with the practicality of 1950s technology and Roy's purse strings. You had rides like the Astrojets and the Phantom boats that were nothing more than dressed-up county fair rides. The 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea exhibit was placed as a last-minute filler because Walt had nothing else to fill that space with. So he knew that he needed something to draw folks into that section of the park, something to live up to the scope of the area. In short, what Walt needed was a weenie.
Cue the Kaiser Hall of Aluminum fame. Oh, wait, is that a different episode than what we're doing today?
Potentially. We'll never know. The Tomorrowland of the past was pretty much a science fair type thing, with exhibits called the Bathroom of Tomorrow, etc., etc. The chemical giant Monsanto had an exhibit there, the Hall of Chemistry, which is now the Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, I believe. So when this new idea of a futuristic home came about, the wheels were already lubed up. Turns out Monsanto had been working on a futuristic housing concept a few years before the park opened back in 1953, when the company assembled a development team to explore the use of plastics for home construction. At this time, plastic was gently being used commercially, most famously in molded handles for skillets and TV cabinets. That material, called Bakelite, was dense, heavy, and cumbersome, and therefore had very limited uses. You could only just basically mold it. You had a mold, you put the thing in there, you close the mold, and that's the shape of the thing. It's in plastic. It's a heavy, dense plastic.
It's great toaster material.
There you go. Yes, that's right. The push was on for a lightweight plastic that didn't look like total ass and could free up designers to really get weird with their shapes and their materials. Now, part of this time in plastics research, plastics history, was post-war kind of figuring out what they're going to do, right? So, plasticizers and stuff were being used for rocket fuel and whatever. And you had a lot of different plastics being used. Fiberglass, I believe, was used heavily in World War II. But then after the war, when all these chemical companies have developed all these things, they were like, oh, no, we need a market. We have all this stuff. We need to market all this crap. So what can we do to get people to buy more plastic stuff that they don't need? And, that cue plastic garbage cans and all this kind of stuff, right? In the early 1950s, chemists developed a non-fading red pigment for acrylic plastic, which was immediately fed to the Detroit automotive machine, specifically allowing them to craft all of those really wild-shaped taillights that we used to see in boats of yore, the big caddy fins and stuff like that. And
cool. And
because those shapes were very limited in the design of them because of the glass limitations that they had. I mean, you can only do so much with glass before it either breaks or it's too fragile to ship or whatever. So I do have on my slides. So the opening slide is just Walt being shown a model of the house of the future. But basically we could get, finally we can get cars like this.
The Homer.
No, sorry. More like this. So you can see these kind of torpedo-shaped, really wild stuff from like the back of Cadillacs and Buicks from the, early 50s.
And you recognize some of these images from the end of Radiator Springs Racers.
That's right. Yes, they're in the caverns, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you look closely, and you can just Google them if you want to also, folks, but, some of them have 90-degree angles. Some of them look like rocket tubes. It's stuff you just couldn't really do very well or consistently with glass.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So from there, from the kickoff to, being able to let Detroit use these new acrylics and these new pigments in their taillights and other kind of things, the plastic industry quickly advanced, allowing the creation of lighter, cheaper materials to be made. Because there was always, like anything, right? There's always a point of, we can do this thing, but if there's no market for thing, we won't do thing. That doesn't make sense to do thing if there's no market for it. And so I think the automotive industry kind of showed the plastics industry, hey, there's industry for thing, so please do more thing. So they said, great, and we can kind of advance it and whatever. So from here, and obviously this is not a thorough, history of the plastic history, but
it's not
a general one. No, you're on the wrong show, man. Sorry.
Unsub.
From there, large acrylic sheets were soon being used by oil companies at gas stations over the more expensive and fragile neon signs to advertise. That's when you get the big blown plastic, Arco stations and, whatever, with just a few light bulbs in them, and these plastic sheet would, shine through.
Cool.
Melamine laminated tabletops made by the Formica Corporation became so popular that we now think of the product as the company name, much like Xerox or aspirin, right?
Yeah.
Then you had the processing of polystyrene being honed and perfected, and you start to get things like razor blade dispensers or wall tiles, storage trays for your dashboard with little suction cups on them, or lawn sprinklers, trash cans, etc. All that to say, you can see where this intense push for finding a new and emerging market for plastics was coming from.
Okay.
Ralph Hansen, who was the head of the Monsanto Plastics Division Market Development Department, that's a mouthful, brother.
Wow.
is credited with the conception of the House of the Future project. Now, he's grandfather to the Hansen brothers music group.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I got really excited.
I know.
No, it's the Hansen's Lemonade people.
Yeah, come on. Thanks to the housing boom in the period after World War II, construction supplies were experiencing a shortage, making the suburban sprawl take a lot more time to spread and become more costly, and putting the focus on older homes that were being bought by younger families to fix up and improve. Now, Hansen directed Monsanto's attention to the potential market in existing homes, identifying two key groups of consumers, the do-it-yourselfers and the please do it for meers, which I'm a little bit of both, but probably more the latter than the former. I want to pay you to do things for me, please. Hansen learned that homeowners moving into homes that were over 20 years old were more, quote, susceptible to being sold home improvement products, and he wanted in on that market. So he knew that there were people buying old homes, fixing them up, throwing, laminate tile on stuff, doing all this. And he's like, I want that market. That's what I need right now, because he saw a future. This is how we got things like plastic wallpaper, vinyl floor tile, melamine furniture kits, et cetera, et cetera.
Love all of those things.
Yeah, I know. Monsanto wanted to find a market for their plastics, and they found it. So, yeah, I get it. The company wanted to create market demand for things that the market didn't know they needed. That's capitalism. But why a plastic house of the future? And why such a weird futuristic design for a house? Having already identified the housing market, both new and old, as a growing field, they wanted to develop new ideas that would drive purchases, and it was the responsibility of the architects and designers to create ideas based on the psychological desires of the consumer, adding that, quote, consumers don't always know what they want.
Okay. Rude.
Which is such the most advertising thing to say in the entire friggin' world, dude. Consumers don't know what they want, so it's our job to tell them. So the marketing department at Monsanto pitched the use of, quote, intelligent experimental design, such as prototypes, to gauge interest in larger products like housing. Now, for us right now, prototypes kind of seem standard. You go to, different kind of fairs, and there's always, I have a prototype pizza oven, I have a prototype shoe, I have a prototype whatever, right? Robot. At the time, prototypes were beginning to be a very effective way to get the public to buy in on a product at a rapid pace. You had things like toys, furniture, cars, all had proven success as a marketing tool when being addressed with prototypes first. So why not homes, right?
Yeah.
The company had clocked a growing trend in the construction industry toward modern designs like in schools and office buildings. And they believed that in time, the ultra-modern home, quote unquote, in plastic would soon be accepted by the general public. So this is about the time in schools where you had Formica tabletops and just kind of these sleek, more industrial designs, colors and shapes of furniture and stuff like that. So Monsanto forward thinking going, hey, that's going to at some point trickle down to the home industry.
Sure. Yeah. This sounds like just like what I'm picturing in my head, the shape wise and everything. It's like kind of this is the start of the mid-century modern era.
Yeah.
Like those kind of rounded corners, things like that.
Yeah. Sounds about right. I mean, it's about that time too, 1950s.
Okay.
Yeah, it's moldable. I bet hard, like sharp corners would have been harder to mold.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
True.
More difficult. Yeah.
That's a good point.
So from what I can put together, the Monsanto project had two main goals: to showcase home improvement items that would be available in the near or immediate future, like vinyl tiles and all that, and products that would be made ready in the far future or future, like houses. Now, one account I found stated that the overall design or focus of the House of the Future project was intended to be a representation of life 32 years into the future. So like 1986, which 32 years seems fairly exact to be made up. So I kind of believe it.
Yeah.
But so from now on moving forward, whenever you're thinking about the House of the Future and you're seeing the photos, or you're going to Dave Land Web on your own time and looking them up, think of 1986.
Okay.
That's what we should be seeing. It's a window into the 1986 world.
Future.
Yeah. So if it is true, this makes a brilliant marketing funnel because you have items that you can't buy yet, but you can dream about while you buy the products that you can buy that you saw inside of the product that you can't buy. It's perfect. It's great. I love it.
Marketing.
Yeah. So in May of 1954, Monsanto contacted two guys who taught the principles of architecture at MIT called Marvin Goody and Richard Hamilton to tackle the project. While many of the materials included within the House of the Future already existed in the world of plastics, they did have little use in the structures of buildings, which is kind of what they were leaning into, right? Plastic at the time was for small things, like nobody was trying to use plastic sheeting as load-bearing walls or anything like that. But Monsanto had identified an emerging market in a possible plastic home, slowed only by the lack of adoption from consumers of plastic materials, and went full force into developing this home. Now, not to get too lost in the weeds here, but it does seem like the main overall point in this project for Monsanto was literally to redefine the vocabulary of modern architecture and construction, setting plastics as the focus of the so-called new modern. Companies like this play the long game. You know, Monsanto's been around forever. They're still around. They play the long game.
Okay.
So that's what it seems like to me. What's that?
They're kind of still around.
Yeah. Poisoning people to this day. That's what it seems like to me. They were like, okay, we need to get our language in here. And it seems very much like Mad Men, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Architects loved the idea of plastic. They absolutely loved it because it could conform. And this is the architects that were working at what did I say their names were? Goody and Hamilton. Okay. They loved the idea of the plastic because it can conform to any shape, any size, and any environment. But they also noted that design, just for design's sake, wouldn't be of benefit to anyone and could potentially lead to over-designed, over-engineered slop that might function well but wouldn't look approachable for the modern consumer. So they didn't want to get too detailed with it just because they could, right? So
that is so, I'm sorry, but that's so unlike what happens today.
I know. Well, but I think that's why the architects were doing it, right? They were doing the design because they're like, okay, we understand. They understand their clients and what they wanted, right? They wanted something that people would adopt originally. So if you have these weird angles and these weird holes in the fence and this weird shit stuff just because you could, then people are like, that's kind of weird. But if you make it more approachable and weird, then maybe that's different. So they definitely stressed the need to develop an architectural process that was appropriate for the materials over the aesthetic of the design. Create products that would benefit greatly from the inherent malleability of plastic. Now, through this design process, they figured out that plastics performed better in a compound curve or shell structure because they would use less materials this way while also being structurally sound. On the other side, plastics that were manufactured in a more traditional rectilinear form, which is a new word I learned, like the straight wall of a house, right? Rectangle, linear, right? Those things were having issues getting the stiffness needed for structural integrity. So the more weight the walls needed to hold, the stiffer the plastic needed to be. But the stiffer the plastic got, the more it lost its flexibility, which means it would fracture more easily.
Okay.
So curved plastic, they figured, was the way. So if we were going to do this house, that's what's going on.
Okay.
Okay.
So next came the design of the unit. Different pre-made units were worked on and ultimately discarded, deeming them not economical enough for most uses. After all, this was to be a space-aged house, able to expand appropriately to match the desires and lifestyles of the family unit. And that was the long-term growth potential that helped the architects to land on a cellular house composed of modules or wings that were able to expand as needed with flat sandwich panel walls and the domed roof in like a honeycomb configuration. Basically, a house that was made of a kit of parts to be assembled on site. The idea was there. They just needed to find a design that fit both aesthetically as well as structurally.
Okay.
Now, Monsanto's marketing development department, working with those nerds at MIT, created a set of standards for this ultimate house of the future. And some key words from those standards are things like flexibility of size, suitability in the landscape, which is such a weird, whatever. And the last one is not hindering the individual's ability to reflect his personality.
It's too uniform.
Yes.
And there's no, I mean, they wanted expansion, but yeah, how do you expand on this large thing that's made out of plastic?
Right?
Okay. Huh.
Oh, you'll find out. Don't worry.
Oh, good.
Taking inspiration from the structure and physics of an airplane wing's ability to carry its weight, its structure, right through the fuselage to the body of the plane, which avoided putting any stress from the wing into the plane itself, the final design was that of a continuous shell that formed the roof, the wall, and the floor. Limited to 18 feet wide by 16 feet long for portability, these U-shaped walls with their sandwich construction were capable of absorbing extreme shell stresses. So you have the walls and the roof designed to force their weight, their stress, through to the center of the house, which is a concrete core, where these modules would then be bolted down and not to the walls or anything, which created a perfect balance of a futuristic design and the structural integrity to make these homes a viable alternative to stick houses.
Okay.
And the tininess of a double wide cut into 4 pieces.
Yes. Yeah, it was very small. It was like 1,200 square feet when all was said and done. So they were very tiny, but but they would all be strapped onto this core. And,
but that is the design is super cool. It's elegant. It's cool looking.
I'll get into it. I'll get into it a little bit, like describing it. But this is a sketch that we're showing here from the designers, and you can see like those little, 50s, 60s like star glitter, asterisk marks kind of thing. It just looks, I don't know, looks super cute.
Nice.
So the house of the future was also designed to be assembled by the future occupants and not construction workers. And I think this is kind of, important in the grand scheme of why the house was shaped the way it was. So once the core was laid, and maybe I didn't explain that enough. So basically the core is a 16 foot by 16 foot, I think, or 15 foot by 15 foot block of concrete, essentially, that had a room in it with all the utilities. And I get into it a little bit, but I'll just clarify now. And then that's where the wings of this unit would bolt onto the core. And I'll show you some pictures of what that looks like in a little bit. Once the core was laid, the room modules came mostly pre-assembled. The bathroom core came fully equipped and ready to install. Within the walls were to be a system of subframes. And near as I can tell, these subframes were meant to hold window glass, meaning you can literally dictate how many windows you had on which wall and hang them your own dangum self.
Wow.
So you can take the panels off and drop some windows in, and that's you could do that. Absolutely.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It is kind of neat. Now, if you wanted to expand your house even further, like Erik was saying, all you would need to do is get a second concrete core to be poured to be the foundation for the next set of cubes. And then you can take the end off of one, connect it to the other one, and then you have another house basically attached to your first house.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The foundation kind of goes up instead of
out. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Futuristic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The result is this incredible 4-sectioned pre-built structure set upon a concrete core made from 14 different plastics. That's what they say.
Jeez.
However, this idea of the future also came at a cost. The price of this prototype home was going to run about $1 million bucks. And while the designers planned everything for ease of mass production, it could be easily scaled up, Monsanto was forced by the hefty price tag to pivot and admit that this whole project was probably less than likely to be able to be mass produced. And they should really make it simply a showcase of how plastics could be used in the future. So it cost Monsanto $1 million for this.
Wow.
And they're like, you know what? Maybe let's look into seed technology.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's sue farmers into the dirt. Even the basic plastic materials for the basic house made at scale would run 15 to 20 grand, which was already well beyond the budget of most households.
Yeah.
Which is about 180 grand now in cost of goods, just materials, not even factoring in labor, shipping, profit, etc. Considering the average home was going for about 8 to 10 grand in the US in the 50s, this was not going to work well.
Wow.
Yeah. But the board at Monsanto absolutely loved the plans, hated the cost. They still wanted to move forward with their plastic Wonderland showpiece.
Okay.
Their stance was that if they could slap their one prototype down in a place that could maximize exposure to it, that it would generate enough interest in the use of plastics for the home that the cost would be justified. This is the long game, right? So they began the very important task of deciding where to build this prototype home. Now, here's where the history gets a little clogged a bit, because I've read at least 3 different variations on what happened next.
Okay.
One is that Walt was attending a plastics conference, classic Walt, right? And saw the Monsanto project and reached out to them to bring it into the park.
Okay.
Another is that Walt just heard about it in some nebulous fashion and then offered Disneyland as a space. The third, which seems more plausible, is that someone there at Monsanto thought, hey, we already have a presence at Disneyland. That place seems to be doing okay. So they reached out to Walt about placing this highly advanced building in Tomorrowland. Now, I read an interview with John Hinch, Disney legend and all-around good guy. When Monsanto sat with Walt to tell him about the details of the House of the Future, Walt apparently didn't even let the executives finish their pitch before he was on board. He loved the concept that much.
Wow.
And he proposed it be built right at the entrance of Tomorrowland.
I mean, it makes sense for that area of the park. And he probably didn't have another idea, so it was perfect.
Yeah. Walt finally had his weenie.
Ah.
Now, think about where this location was. You had the main weenie, which is Sleeping Beauty Castle, right in the background. So, folks at home, you can go to Daveland Web, check this out. This is like photo number 67 of 174 of the House of the Future. And it's a man standing in front of the House of the Future. And then in the background is Sleeping Beauty Castle.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
that man's pants are hiked up higher than
the cost of building the home.
Time.
Yeah, that's right.
My goodness.
So Sleeping Beauty Castle, sort of the forefront of the park. You enter Main Street, you walk toward it. You go up to the bridge, you pose for some pics. Then off to the right, you see this weird white building rising out of the ground. It looks like it. A lot of people said it looks like it's floating off the ground. You're going to go over there and check that out next.
Absolutely.
Walt loved this idea, this concept so much that he wanted it basically right near the most iconic landmark in the theme park world at the time, making it one of the first things the guests would see upon crossing into the hub. He was all in. He loved this concept. Because if he didn't have confidence in it, it would have been pushed back. Nothing, yeah.
I can see why, though. Like, it is so intriguing.
It is.
Even today. Like,
Absolutely.
I can't even imagine what people were thinking then. But,
I know, right?
Today I'm like, I really want to go there.
Yeah. So Monsanto, of course, agreed, but they only had 2 real build requirements for the house at Disneyland. One, that all the utilities were to be located in the central concrete core, which is kind of standard. But I, from what I can gather, I would imagine it's like, hey, I know you guys like to do stuff, but this is how it works. All the stuff needs to be piped through the central core up into the center of the building, right?
That makes sense.
You had all the plumbing and stuff coming through the center, and in the center, I'll get to in a second, but in the center of the house itself, inside is the kitchen and the bathrooms. So all the water's just right there. It just goes straight up. You know, it's actually really brilliant design, right?
It's very efficient.
Yes. Yeah. So that was the first one. The second one was that the cooling system needed a source of water because it was like evaporative cooling. So due to the unusual design of the building, it had to be placed on the concrete core at an unusual angle. Now, I don't know what that necessarily means, but they said that the entrance was needed to be facing the right way to maximize guests' accessibility. And later on, I'll show you like an overview of where it was in the park and how guests could get to it. So I imagine it, at the time they're talking about how to deal with lines. How to get people through. They didn't want to clog, so they had to rotate the design of this from the original design. They just had to rotate it on its axis a little bit to make the front door in another place to get people easily in and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Imagineers were able to make this placement look more natural through the wonders of landscaping, as well as adding a pond, which had the added benefit of holding the water for the cooling unit. Now, here's where it is here underneath the House of Tomorrow. And it's this little like 3-tiered waterfall going into
cool,
a
honestly.
pond. Now, the name of the pond was called the Lily Pool.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So that was cool. And this was actually designed by John Hinch, and he was not sure if it would work or not.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
And it makes sense, but it reminds me of the area at the Disneyland Hotel where that restaurant is, the mid-century restaurant. I forget what it's called right now. By the villas.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It like there's something there that reminds me of this.
The
right
open
here.
but shaded area. Because it's like right underneath. And so if you see
water
Palm Breeze.
Palm Breeze.
Yeah.
So you see this white thing here, that's underneath the house.
Yeah.
This dark square here, that's the concrete core.
Oh.
So the pond is under the house.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the jungle room at Graceland.
Of course.
All right.
So sitting on a 16 square foot concrete slab that housed the central room for the utility access, it was the only part of the house that touched the ground. And actually, I meant this is probably the one. So this is the square, the slab. There's the door right there, the access point. It might be a little hard to see, but there's the doorknob right there.
Okay.
And that's how you get in and access everything.
Wow.
So picture the house in your mind, everybody at home. It's like an X shape, okay? One descriptor I read called it a 4-leafed clover of cheese, which I think is pretty apt because if you look back at this design,
it does look like cheese.
It's because it's kind of bulbous.
Yeah.
And then so each wing has a seam running down it, and that's where these 2 8-foot wide bents is what they're called are fused together. Mm-hmm. So it kind of looks like a wheel of cheese in a 4-leaf clover shape.
Like a baby bell, like a white baby bell that somebody sliced the corners out of.
Yeah. Exactly. The corners of the circle.
The corners of the circle, obviously.
Let's see. The core of the house sat on that concrete slab, and all of the plumbing, water, air conditioning, etc., all ran down into that concrete core. The 4 wings that would make up the X shape jutted off of that central core, mounted on 12-inch thick concrete walls, which gave the impression that the house was floating off the ground. The core would have been about 12 feet tall, with the house sitting on the top 28 inches of the core. Especially when the core is painted dark gray against the lush green of the landscape and stark white of the house, it really amplified that it's floating off the ground. Some people call it a cloud, because you have plants against the dark gray, but then you have the white and then the green of everything else. It stands out. So each of the wings was comprised of 2 8-foot wide bents, B-E-N-T-S, which if you look at the sides of the house of the future, those bubble shapes on the edges, those are the seams. The wings were then bolted to steel plates on the core, which had also laminated wooden perimeter beams. Inside those floors of the bents were the HVAC ducts, bringing air from the unit in the central core. The air would then be forced out through the ducts, not in the floors or the ceilings, but the walls. So now this picture is a very handsome couple just lounging it up on the floor. There's a fully set table, whatever. There's the curtain drawn. That's the window. And then you see in the background these circles. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mm-hmm. That's the HVAC. That's the vents. That's the AC. So you can imagine you're just laying there on these very thin dot pillows, and you're just getting blasted in the face with air conditioning.
But they look kind of stylish in a way.
They do.
What's that, honey?
Yeah, that's to me that's just wild. But it looks futuristic. It also looks kind of retro, even for the 50s. So it's cool. I get it. It's cute. And while
don't have children or dogs here.
No.
No.
And while its exterior fiberglass surface technically required no protective finish, the joint lines were smooth with polyester gunk, and the entire surface was spray painted a uniform eggshell white to emphasize the pristine modernness of plastic, which was done at the insistence of the Imagineers. Always show first, right? We want this to look like plastic, to be shiny, to be clean. We're painting it. Well, you don't need to, guys. I know, but we're going to do it. Also, these joint lines got to go. Fill them in.
But I do agree with that.
I agree with it, too. It's exactly what it should be.
It needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this basic idea, having a central core to hold all the junk, you could really configure your home any way you wanted, since there's no real foundation. Kids move out, simply unbolt their room from the core and sell it in the newspaper classified ads. And because of the subframes inside the walls, you could just close off that opening left by the removal of that room with a few windows or another solid panel. Now, there were other plans drawn up as well in case this kind of took off, using different shapes, not just the X that we've been talking about. One was an H design, again, with the central core in the middle, probably a longer one, but more rooms jutting out to elongate the living spaces.
Makes sense.
Or if you wanted to get away from the alphabet altogether, a rectangle plan was drawn up also with lobes or rooms balancing out on either side of the core.
A little more boring.
Yeah. So 3 months before opening the house at Disneyland, work began on the paneling called bents at the Winter Manufacturing Company in Trenton, New Jersey.
Did you explain why it's called a bent?
Because they're bent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
That's all.
That's
so
simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's an image again from Dave Land, kind of a blueprinty thing, and you can see right here they're kind of bent over. I mean, the rooms are U-shaped when they're attached, but the way they come, they're like half U's, right? So they look like maybe L's.
Okay.
And then so they're attached on the side. They're attached together, and then at the bottom with the other ones that make up the flooring.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of like a clamshell or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that,
almost
right?
like a C, like
There you go.
Yeah, a long C.
Yeah, a long C, everybody. Like a L. I don't know, whatever. You look it up, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's a little hard to explain, I guess, actually.
Turns out these futuristic shells were actually a pain in the butt to build, since they were made to be connected to one another in various places, right? At the end where it connects to the bent that makes the floor, and then on the sides to where the other bent makes the rest of the thing, and then to the top, and then to the bottom. Extreme accuracy was required, which drove up the labor time considerably.
Oh, man.
Each bent was formed by building a precisely scaled wooden mold of the desired shape. A negative mold was taken then from the original using polyester and fiberglass cloth.
Okay.
The negative mold was then used as a surface to build up the bent by hand, with using 10 piles of woven fiberglass mat being layered between polyester resin. And once all of that mess had been cured, each bent was insulated and stiffened with rigid polyurethane foam sprayed on the inside. And here's just another blueprinty kind of thing. And you can see the subflooring underneath, where the air from the HVAC came through, and just kind of how it all goes together there.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't explain it.
It's wild.
It just looks cool.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
The bents were then delivered to Disneyland, and where they were so unusual, one of the receiving clerks asked, "What's with all these boats arriving?"
They do look like boats.
Oh, actually, here's a picture. This is a picture of the bents being made at the manufacturing plant in New Jersey. So they're being tested together. I don't know what's going on here, but it's clearly Jersey. That is not Disneyland at all. And so the sides are open, so it's just the clamshell from the roof going down to make the wall, and then the flooring coming up to make the other side of the back wall.
Did you say how? So that room that we're seeing. So we're seeing one of the two bends put together. So one of the bends, right?
Yeah.
How wide is that? It looks long, but it looks.
It's okay. So the bents themselves were 8 feet wide, and so these two bents right here would then be pushed together, connected on its side with other two bents to make a 16-foot wide room.
Because I'm looking at this guy standing next to this, and I'm like, this is like a prison cell.
Yeah, no. This is basically half of a wing.
Got it. Okay, that makes much more sense.
Yeah.
You can walk forward and side to side.
That's right. Yes. So they cleared the front gates. The bents were then installed with a crane and hand trimmed, sanded, epoxied, bolted, and riveted together. And of course, the ever lovely Dave Landweb has a ton of these photos. So I picked a few of these. So this is the site where the House of the Future was going to be. Pre anything, you can see there's a hill up there. I believe that's the Hall of Chemistry right there. I
can't figure out where we're at here.
Yeah. So the Tomorrowland entrance is basically to the right of this, because that's the Hall of Chemistry, which is now the Astro Blasters, right? I'm not getting that wrong. I'm right? Right. Let's say that. This back here, this hill, that's now Pixie Hollow.
Okay.
Meet and greet for Tinkerbell.
Okay, got it.
Okay? Yeah. So this is right there. So a few feet back, on the bottom, underneath the Dave Landweb bug or whatever, that's sidewalk going to the hub.
Okay.
It's right there. And then here we are with another photo there's a land survey, telescope, and it's kind of being blocked out with wood and string and stuff like that. And there's already a backhoe back here kind of taking down the hill and kind of working on it right now.
Okay.
So here's a picture of the boys laying the cement for the core, and you can see how deep it goes down. That man's probably 5.5 feet or whatever. So it's probably 12 foot in the ground, which is about what it is.
So it's not solid because there's stuff inside of it.
So I don't actually truly know. It's hard to figure out. I think there's a lot of it that is solid, and then the room, I think it is solid. And then the room above ground level is not, because that's where the stuff is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this would have held up in an earthquake.
I mean, I trust a structural engineer over you.
Yeah, but back then they weren't thinking about earthquakes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Well,
structural engineers should have been, right?
Yeah, we'll get to how tough it was later.
Okay.
And so here's a picture of the crane dropping the House of the Future bent into shape, and there's a castle in the background right there, and so you can kind of see how they go together. So what they're doing is they laid the flooring, and it's just like a clamshell, splayed out, right? Like you cut a piece of paper into a cross shape, and and then you curl the edges up. That's kind of what it is. So you see there's one bent, there's two bents, they're joined side by side with the curls up. And then they're going to basically just invert that with the next set of bents and put them on top.
Well, and just like this is honestly what I don't like about airplanes. And I love flying. I love airplanes, but like I don't understand physics. I don't believe physics. I know that it's true. It has to be true because it works.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make any sense how somebody could stand on the end of this and it doesn't fall down.
I'll tell you what, I still don't understand lunar eclipses. I still don't get it. I've seen it. We just watched Bill Nye the Science Guy. He explained it. I go, oh yeah. And then it's off and I go, that's magic to me. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Or like how the ancient Greeks, could map the star. I have no idea. Can't be real.
And Bill shows back up and he's like, but you understand that there's a thing in front of another thing.
Yeah, and you go, I vaguely get the concept. So here's another image.
Oh, okay.
This is with the roof on and the vents taking shape. The rooms are taking shape, sandwiching things together. And here's a great shot of them lowering the roof and half the sidewall down into place, assembling this
giant hunk of plastic.
This monstrosity.
This is like adult Legos, like adult giant Legos.
Yeah,
the
basically.
crane operator's like, what do they make this crap out of?
Yeah. So when all was said and done, the house of the future was still very much a home of the present, as it required more parts than intended and was very labor intensive. Each floor bent required an 8 by 16 foot floor panel, about 4.5 inches thick, composed of a layer of phenolic impregnated honeycomb sandwiched between thin layers of fiberglass.
What? Descriptive.
Yeah. 2 similar floor panels lined the top of the concrete foundation. Each roof bent likewise required a ceiling section about 3 inches thick, made by a process similar to that of the exterior shells. In addition to the house's 16 exterior shells, 16 inner skins, 10 floor panels, and 8 ceiling sections, more than 40 other miscellaneous panels and plates of reinforced plastic went into its structural system. So given the sort of clumsy nature of fiberglass molding, all parts had to be hand trimmed with a hand-operated power saw on site.
Oh my goodness.
Because of the saw's weight, it made it so hard to maintain a straight cut along an entire 16-foot length of a bent.
Oh, no.
That the cut was made outside the line, right? So they drew a line, they cut, I don't know how close to it, but not cut on the line, and then ground down to the line by hand with a disc sander.
Hours.
Wow.
Days.
Oh, my goodness.
These could have never been made for real people.
All surfaces had to be epoxied during final assembly and then had to be roughened by hand with a power sander. So I guess to then put on another thing to, for it to stick. Structural parts of the house consumed 20,000 pounds of polyester resin, 25,000 pounds of woven fiberglass, and 4,000 pounds of polyurethane foam. Now you may be wondering, Jason, what kind of plastic chemicals were used in the house of the future? Well, I'm glad I assumed that you would ask that.
Hey, Jason, I submitted that to you in writing a few hours ago. Yes.
So I don't know. We can, you know what? Let me come back to that. I don't think we need to know about that right now. Let's keep
next
going.
episode.
Yeah. So construction began at Disneyland within weeks of signing the contracts, and on June 12th, 1957, humans everywhere got a glimpse of the lives their children would surely be living in 1986.
that was my life, that's for sure.
After all, we were promised jetpacks, right?
That's true.
So Walt's plan to drive more foot traffic into Tomorrowland via the House of the Future worked. Within the first 6 weeks of it being open to the public, the Plastic Wonder saw over 430,000 people tour its insides.
Dang.
So what did guests find when they entered the exhibit area and queued up to walk the totally safe to breathe the air in here type building?
Yeah. Oh boy.
So here is,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I know, right? Here's the floor plan for the House of the Future. So you're looking top to bottom. You enter on the right, and the first room that you see is the kitchen. Let's take a break.
Okay.
Let's take a break there. We'll be right back, folks, to talk a little bit about what is in the House of the Future, or what was in the House of the Future, and what you could do about it. I don't know. Hang on. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Back to Ears Up, where the opinions never stop. Ever.
All right. Thanks for hanging on, everybody. Let's take a journey into the house of the future. You know what I mean?
Oh, can't
see what
wait.
we got going on.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Good job, Taryn.
Thanks.
So the feature of the central core inside the house of the future was, of course, the kitchen. In case you couldn't tell.
Of course.
A shining beacon of family civility and togetherness. The rock tumbler that showcased the ever-constant love of mother.
Aw.
Oh,
That seems a little...
There's a concept drawing.
Okay.
It was dubbed the Atoms for Living Kitchen. ATOMS, not ADAMS, right?
Okay.
Atoms for Living. This setup was built by the Kelvinator division of the American Motors Corporation and first showcased at the Chicago Winter Furniture Market in 1956 before coming to Disneyland. Now, at this time, people were going nuts for and because of the atom.
Okay.
Atomic power, radiation. The atom and its many uses were the catalyst for many of these weird concepts in the 50s. For a number of years, the Kelvinator division had been supporting research into advanced method of food preservation by using gamma irradiation.
Oh.
Okay.
Turns out...
Oh, yeah, my chicken will stay cold forever.
Yeah. Turns out a light dose of irradiation combined with the modern concept of refrigeration increases the lifespan of many food products by weeks, months, or even years, depending on the food. Which, of course, begs the question, how long do we really need food to last? Now, as a side note, all of this research led to the widespread use of gamma irradiation in food preservation eventually. So much so that it is permitted for use in over 60 countries today and is considered a key weapon in the battle against foodborne pathogens, pests, and other nasties.
Hooray.
Wow.
Now, in case you were wondering, like me, irradiated food does not become radioactive because, as everybody knows, only particle energies that are incapable of causing significant induced radioactivity are used for food irradiation. In the United States, this limit is 4 mega electron volts for electron beams and X-ray sources. Cobalt-60 or Caesium-137 sources are never energetic enough to induce radioactivity. Particles below this energy can never be energetic enough to modify the nucleus of the targeted atom in the food, regardless of how many particles hit the target material, and so radioactivity cannot be induced. And I know I didn't have to clarify that, but I felt like maybe someone doesn't know that, so I thought I'd put it in there. Apologize for the boring.
Appreciate the overview.
Anyway, back to the kitchen. Kelvinator deliberately designed the kitchen not to look like a kitchen when it wasn't in use, which fit, of course, nicely with a concept that Monsanto had for the house of the future. So this is what it looked like. This is a shot from Life magazine. This is the house, the atoms for life in the house of the future. Okay, and it looks very sleek. It looks very modern, even to these standards, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay. And here's another shot right here. There you go. Here's more shots of mother.
Ooh, some color.
Yeah, these are in color.
Well, no, I meant some color other than white
in
color.
Well, yes, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So, basically it's, along one of the walls, there's a lot of plastic paneling. There is, of course, a countertop, but everything, as you'll read about in a second, is kind of hidden in this top half up here, this top cabinet. There's no cabinet doors. Everything drops down from the bottom of the cabinet or comes up from the surface area.
Do we know if, I don't know if this is a weird question, but were RVs and like campers, were they invented at this point?
I don't know. I would guess. I know like trailers, like Airstreams and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Because this is what it reminds me of. Is like when you go camping and you can't ever find anything because it's in some cabinet that's above the bathroom door or something.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yes. So food storage in the kitchen consisted of 3 compartments: a freezer, a normal refrigerator, and a third fridge space for irradiated foods. Which is also like, well, if it was so safe, why do we need it to separate irradiated foods from everything else?
Just a little bit of lead. It's just a precaution. It's fine.
All 3 were hung in a bank from the ceiling and could be lowered with the touch of a really cool button. I imagine it's cool. I don't know. Some artistic license.
Now.
Yeah, that's right. Beep. The bank was covered by plastic paneling to further fit in with the futuristic vibe. The main counter area included an electric stove and something called a microwave oven that was hidden inside the countertop that would raise to working level with a touch of yet another almost as cool button. Now, these next 2 pictures I'm going to show you, I think are the coolest stylized things. And what I think these pictures are from is I think they're from that Chicago, plastics show pre House of the Future. Okay. Just in the way that they're lit and you can the background, but you'll see, look at this. It's stark. The lighting from overhead is harsh, casting these really clear, these really defined shadows. It looks like something from the original Alien movie or some sci-fi movie from the 70s. Like
that Green Rules
2001, right? The Space Odyssey. Very, very stark. But this is the little island that we'll talk about in a second. But these are the cabinets, and you can see right here, there's a tray or a thing here, and there's a bunch of food on it. And that's the refrigerator, and it raises up into the cabinet.
Wow!
And here's it from the other angle, so you can see the lighting between the panels between this. Are different than this, right? So I think it's a totally different area. This glass thing isn't here real. There's there's dark here, but it just looks so cool, man.
Anyone who's seen Severance, it is very much in that style. Just very
so
stark, but like white and green, and that's it.
This is the microwave oven, by the way.
That's so cool looking, actually.
Wow, double door. Wait, isn't call me ignorant, please, but according to every video game I've ever played, green means you're radioactive now. You're gonna die.
Well, this is more like a light mint green, and then the white is more like eggshell.
Okay.
Yeah, and the dark greens aren't like they're not glowing.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. So the island in the kitchen that we've seen here, we can go back to this picture here. That is a combination desk, communication center, work surface, and ultrasonic dishwasher.
Heck yeah.
And so here's 2 pictures. One is from Yesterland, by the way, but here's one of mom loading the ultrasonic dishwasher with plastic plates. Okay, all the silverware's plastic, all the cutlery's plastic, and then here's another photo of mom just having maybe some coffee, reading a book at the workspace communication center with the panel right here being the dishwasher. It looks like it doesn't raise up so much as folds over.
Interesting.
Yeah. Kind of neat.
Donna just can't wait to check in with her multi-level marketing scheme.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has an ultrasonic dishwasher, which never made sense to me, right? Because sonic is noise, right? So ultrasonic to me just means really terribly noisy.
No, I think ultra means super awesome.
It might. Yeah, I don't know. So the dishwasher harvested the power of high-frequency sound waves to vibrate the water, making it more efficient at cleaning. Science is weird.
I wonder why. Okay, in this photo, the dishwasher thing like pops up, and the lady is putting the dishes in from, it looks like behind.
Because a photo.
Okay, just because.
Otherwise, she would be in front of the thing and you couldn't get a good shot.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay.
That makes more sense.
Magic.
One article I read about specifically the kitchen of the future here is that this whole concept was that this open house plan, like we're seeing in the house of the future, could possibly remove the word kitchen from our vocabulary.
Why do they hate the kitchen so much?
In favor of some other word that better describes this family food center. As one review in the New York Times put it, quote, "The kitchen sink in this arrangement becomes practically a control tower where the lady of the house can maintain surveillance over 3 of the 4 rooms in the house. Because you can see in, right? It's open house, open floor plan. By pushing an array of buttons, she can regulate practically everything but her husband."
Oh my God.
Mom's an air traffic controller.
Yeah.
You know what's
funny? Except for Dad.
But you could even, through this control panel, you can even scent different rooms through the AC system at the push of a button with smells such as rose or ocean.
Wow. That is.
It's a lot, right?
That's an interesting thing. And I do.
Mom, I need more rose. Mom, rose meat. Thank you.
Well, what's funny is like, okay, open floor plans are kind of like the thing that all houses are made now.
Yeah.
But there's this kind of resurgence of women mostly who are like, I actually don't want that. I would like to just make dinner without having to answer 15 questions while my kid's watching TV.
Yeah.
And I feel like they started it.
Yeah. By resurgence of women, she means her.
I do.
Yeah. So this was the very first room that guests saw as they entered the house of the future. What a great showcase. I mean, honestly, if you are going to build a house of the future and the outside looks as it does, like a cloud wheel of cheese, and then you go in and there's a robotic kitchen, basically, you're floored. I mean, that is a very good, you're not bearing the lead there. You're just giving it all away. You're opening the kimono.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how it gets better.
I didn't say it got better.
Has to only spend 12 hours a day preparing dinner.
That's right. From here, the 4 wings of the house were easily accessible. One was the children's room, which was designed to sort of be modular and adjust to the different needs of a family. So here are 2 different photos here. One, it's of the kids' room, and the kids' room basically has a divider, and it can divide the room. So if you have a boy and a girl, or a boy and a baby, or a girl and a baby, or you wanted a playroom or whatever. But I just the styling here is fantastic. You have these curtains, which are undoubtedly fiberglass curtains. Just the colors of the cabinets with the white square and the orange square and the teal square, the cool little modern stuff. I don't know. It just looked really neat. And then the second photo, kids in the same room, the desks kind of adjoin, and they're just doing their schoolwork or whatever.
Yeah, it's an absolute vibe.
It is great. So that's a privacy wall, and that could be drawn for like nighttime or naps, or you could open it during the day and have more room to play, effectively opening the room up even more. Or it could be used to split the room for siblings or, what have you, in case Nana comes to spend the night, right? So the house had 2 bathroom units, both designed by Henry Dreyfuss, who was a giant in the field of industrial design at the time, and whose real talent was thinking of the customer. He really pioneered the thought of ergonomics and consumer usage into industrial design. He designed the Hoover Model 150 vacuum cleaner, which is basically the upright vacuum cleaner that you think of when you think of a housewife in the 50s doing housework.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Big metal head, rounded, the big zip bag at the neck or whatever.
Yeah.
He styled the John Deere models A, B, and H tractors that are like those long-nosed looking tractors, so think about the tractor cows in cars. With a big long snout coming out the front, and in cars they only have 1 wheel, but normally they have 2. He designed, those are based off the John Deere models that this man designed.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
He designed the rotary phone for Bell Systems in the late 40s, and that design was used up through the late 70s. He also led the final styling of the Polaroid SX70, that weird pop-up instant camera, transforming the original weird boxy unit into something easy to handle. This design made instant cameras easier to use and helped usher in the popularity of instant photography. But you might know him best through his most famous design, at least to me, I'm such a dork, the round T87 thermostat from Honeywell. Everyone had one of these gold beauties in their house, right? It's just the thermostat, the round, it's gold on the wall. It's the round.
Just that little plastic shield with the grippies on it.
Yep.
Yes, I do know what you're talking about.
That's him.
Okay.
He designed the bathroom in the house of the future, my friend.
Wow.
So this man,
that's amazing.
This is the man who thought about your bathroom time 32 years into the future. You know what? And I say, bless him for that.
Wonderful.
All the features, like the shower and the sink, were able to dispense water at a set temperature. Check this out. No fiddling with knobs. You could just set the temperature you want and then go to town. The cabinets had built-in electric toothbrushes connected by retracting cords. The electric razor was built this way too. So you can see in this photo, Dad is shaving with an electric razor and that cord is built into the wall. Now you all might say, what the heck is he doing? He's talking to a panel in the wall. That is a video phone.
Oh.
So he can communicate with anybody in the house or in the front door, seeing who's there. I'll be right there, Jack. I'm shaving in my house of the future.
Wow.
Hello, Mr. CEO. Hang on. Let me finish.
Heat panels were attached to the walls because, well, plastic didn't do a great job at absorbing and radiating heat. The tub was molded from plastic and attached to the wall, as well as the sink was, making the whole thing feel more, like Taryn said, like an RV than a house. So all that came pre-installed. That was just there. The tub, the shower is part of the wall, fits right in, screw some things in, you got water. That's it.
Totally base layer. Okay.
Yeah. In the master bath, as I just said, you had a speakerphone along with the TV screen to see who was at the front door so you could tell them to go pound sand. The shower had a sound system, you guys.
Ooh.
They had speakers in their shower in 1950 something or other.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
The ceiling panels housed adjustable lighting to act as night lights if needed. You can dim them. The bathrooms shared a wall and were tucked behind the sink in the kitchen, which shared utility connections. So that's everything comes up through the core. So anything you needed water for was connecting at some point to the kitchen.
Okay.
Kind of neat.
Yeah.
Straight piping. There you go. Right up. Now the living room, that was something else.
Something else than listening to ELO in the shower.
Yes. A giant television mounted above a rounded couch made it clear that this was the chill out spot. All the furniture was custom for this space in order to fit the natural curves of the walls and provide the most square footage for roaming as possible. The family room dining table was a Herman Miller piece, as well as the chairs, which apparently were upholstered foam upgrades on Eames fiberglass shelves. And anyone into mid-century modern design is probably going nuts right now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
An Eames fiberglass armchair was in the master bedroom. Now that fiberglass armchair, I believe, was the one that had speakers. It was designed by John Hinch, and it was the first chair to have speakers in the headrest.
It's like the first gaming chair.
Basically, yeah. And that was I think it was called, I want to say it was called like the Alpha chair.
Okay.
And it was meant for men. It was a man's chair. It was the man of the house's chair, so he could sit and relax and listen to music after a long day at work.
All right.
Yeah. So this is kind of neat. I don't know why the big TV panel, because like they didn't make TVs back then that big. The house was remodeled inside at least twice in its 10-year run, mainly just like furniture changes and such. Like the big screen TV was dropped in favor of a smaller unit that fit on the table. Colors were swapped
They're
around.
Like, we'll never make a TV this big.
Yeah, I know, right? Are you kidding me? 20 inches TV? Come on now. Colors were swapped and rooms had varying setups to show off their live-in ability. So in this photo right here, it's basically the same room. You know, mom is standing by the window, and if you get a close-up view somehow, it's like in the window. How am I gonna the long rectangle forms of plastic, and the plastic had different colors in it. And it would just spin. It would just rotate. And as it did, the sunlight would shine through the plastic and would cast these different groovy colors everywhere.
Ooh, I like that.
That was also designed by John Hinch.
It's a cool idea.
So when it opened, the couch was tan, and then, later on it was reupholstered. Now it's like this kind of weird, funky purple. So like I said, this couch right here is a little bit different than this couch. So they changed some stuff up, but basically, the room is the room, right?
I like it.
Okay.
Cast members at the time.
Where does Pixie Hollow fit in?
Well, you want to just get to the good part? Get out of here.
No, that's not the good part.
Cast members.
This is the good part.
Cast members at the time who were stationed inside the house, because basically when it opened, it was a tour, and then I guess later on, guests could just kind of walk through it, and there were cast members to explain stuff, right? So cast members at the time who were in the house would kind of mess with new employees, saying that they bet they could guess if the next guest coming through the door, like entering the house, was a male or a female. And I was reading this, and the initial setup of that, like that part that I was like, oh, I know exactly. I figured it out exactly. The new meat would be astounded when the guess was correct. The trick was there was a certain step on the way into the house that male guests would reach out and knock on the side of the house in that generic trait that all dads have of testing build quality with one rap of their knuckles.
Oh my God.
This was such a
solid construction.
Yes, right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, they did a good job here, huh?
That is so
Single
funny.
Fall down. This was such a common occurrence that the knocks had created a little worn and dirty spot on the outside of the wall that required frequent repainting.
Oh my God. Men are so predictable.
Yeah, well, you know what, Taryn? Don't worry, ladies. You got caught out too. The staged wardrobes in the master bedroom were susceptible to the wanderings of curious ladyfingers. Lucky, as women would reach past the rope barriers to feel the fabrics of the future. Eventually, the garments would get so worn down they would have to be replaced before finally being blocked off entirely with plastic sheeting.
Oh, they have to ruin it for everything. They have to ruin everything.
Yeah, basically, dude.
That's funny though.
What did I
would definitely do that. I did that at Disneyland. They had a they had a display up of like the Pirates of the Caribbean costumes from the movies, and I was obsessed with the movies at the time, and I reached across the thing and I touched it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Because that's what
was it
do.
Johnny or was it Barbosa?
Oh, it was Orlando Bloom. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Duh.
Hello. So you might be asking, what happened to the house of the future in the future, which is now our past, right? Mm-hmm. Well, a few things. Most notably, it sort of let the present catch up to it. After 10 years of bubble-shaped, automated whatsits and sleek, clean colors, guests kind of lost interest in the house as a beacon of the future and thought of it more as a relic of the past. Traditional homes have the luxury of not being tied to a trend for the most part, but the Monsanto House of the future was built on and for the development of a trend, plastic. So in 1968, when the attraction was closed, it was time to remove the home, a task Imagineers thought would take only one day to complete. After all, the house was literally designed for ease of deconstruction. One of the features was the ability to have dad and brother maybe pull off brother's old room on his way to college, right?
Okay.
The focus, secondary to the plastic stuff, was its modular design. Well, as it turned out, whoever assembled the prototype on site, Imagineer or folks from Monsanto or just maybe general contractors, who knows, they had used epoxy adhesives on the walls for, quote, improved insulation. And this was not something that was included in the design of the house, and therefore a total wild card when it came time to take the house down.
Okay.
Unable to simply unbolt the units, they resorted to blowtorches, saws, and even a giant wrecking ball, which simply bounced off the side of the building, leaving barely a mark.
Well, that's actually impressive.
Agreed.
Wow.
Eventually, the demo crew attached cables to the units and literally tore the modules in pieces. The metal bolts that held the rooms to the central concrete core snapped long before the walls eventually came down. Turns out fiberglass reinforced polyester was almost too perfect a material. All that remained of the house was the concrete core, which was quickly overgrown by the amazing foliage surrounding it, and was renamed the Alpine Garden in 1970, serving as the foothills of the Matterhorn. Then in 1996, Alpine Garden was renamed King Triton's Garden for a meet and greet with Ariel. And in 2008, the area was once again redone into Pixie Hollow for a Tinkerbell deal. So the big question here is, does some of the concrete core of the House of the Future remain to this day? There is a rumor going around that just underneath the sign for Pixie Hollow, you can spot a cement wall that had been painted green. And I got a picture of it. There's the sign for Pixie Hollow. There's a big tree right by it. Okay. There's the entrance to Tomorrowland. It says it right there. And then here on the next photo, this is the green little thing that we're talking about. And I think we mentioned it once. I think Terrence went over Monsanto thing, or someone mentioned it. Maybe it was Dave when we had Dave on. But yeah, you can peek through, and then this is rumored to be the, leftover of the House of the Future. Okay. Right. I've always heard that this green wall is left over from the central core of the house, a small remnant of the greatness of chemicals. But you know me, I didn't want to come on here and spout rumors that I couldn't verify myself, or at least have one reliable source to count on. So I gathered a few pictures from Daveland and sent them to a couple friends who know some people that know some things. Who told these people, who then told my friends, who then told me that this little concrete treats that we can see are definitely not remnants of the concrete core. In fact, the house actually sat in front of that green wall that you can see up here now. So the concrete that you see poking through the hedges is something else entirely, possibly like a planter box or a retaining wall or something like that. And just to illustrate that fact, I have a map. So this is an overhead view from Google Maps that I superimposed the outline of the House of the Future to show where it was. And this red line right here, that's about where the wall is. So this is that big tree that we see here. These trees, this canopy, you can kind of see farting around over here. That's this.
Okay.
Okay. And so this red line is about where that wall is.
Okay.
Okay. So this is, and then this is the House of the Future. And you can see like, that's what it looks like now. That's what it is. It was about right here. So
so that can't be
right. So some of this pool, this is water right here. Some of this water right here was part of that lily pond.
Oh.
And
so they wanted to keep some of it there, but
yeah. So that's that, I don't know what that wall is for necessarily. Maybe it was put in there when they redid the area up here for Pixie Hollow, but this was not removed for that. There is literally nothing left, maybe down below, but they ground down all the concrete, leveled it out, and put, whatever the features are on here today. And that is not just speculation necessarily. But anyway, the core is no more. However, some of the sidewalk looks to still be there. So that's something. So this sidewalk down here at the bottom, this is the area of the old sidewalk where people can like come in and out, walk underneath the house over, through here. So the house would like hang over this little pathway. So it's about like, maybe it's a little bigger than that. Maybe it's about like that.
Okay.
So there you go. So that's a busted myth, everybody.
Yes.
We Sherlock Holmes this thing. Is a lot of stuff. So
I heard you. You were very excited. You were like excitable.
Because I like this kind of stuff, man. Because and I had in my notes like, oh, that's part of the thing. But then I was like, wait a minute, it can't be. It doesn't make any sense, because I was sitting here looking at the Google Maps too. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. If you look at some of the pictures from Daveland, you can kind of see compared to what's going on here. It's just not the same. And then this pool over here on the left, that was part of the collection pool for the lily pond. Like it just none of it meant that it was way up here. It was like feet lower elevation than it looked like. So I was like, okay, we need to figure this out. So we did. But the House of the Future did do its job, though. A survey at the time documented 67 rigid plastic buildings completed between 1956 and 1969, with the numbers slowly increasing year by year. Prototypes, most of them, but at least one had entered limited production. And that house is called the Futuro House.
Oh.
The Futuro House. It was a fiberglass flying saucer shaped home built in Finland in 1968 as a portable ski chalet, which is very cool.
Okay.
There's a whole website dedicated to them, tracking where they are and when any of them go on sale. It's like futurohome.com or something like that. So I thought that was kind of neat. And it's literally like, you guys, if you look it up and you see it, like you've seen them somewhere on like, retro pop culture TV shows or on the internet somewhere. You've seen these. It's literally like a jelly donut with oval windows around the center. And it looks like a friggin' spaceship because it's on like stilts and like the steps go down from this. It looks like a spaceship. Yeah, it looks great. So that was built on fiberglass. So people were kind of experimenting with this at the time. It wasn't only Monsanto, but Monsanto did it in Disneyland. So therefore, that's what happened. Monsanto's advertising bid paid off. They estimated that 5 million people visited the house per year. And they put as many as 10 million footsteps testing their vinyl tile flooring.
Wow.
So you can see the advertising writing itself, right? Over 10 million people tested this flooring, and we know that it's the best vinyl flooring, blah, blah, blah. In 1957, Monsanto claimed that due to all the press coverage about the house and the guests at the park, about 500 million people had been exposed to stories about the house of the future. Monsanto received a flood of inquiries about the house. However, even that much demand couldn't justify setting up a production line for the house to be made at an affordable scale. Despite the public fascination with the Monsanto House, the plastic industry experienced difficulty breaking into construction. The, quote, problem of marketing was extremely complex, as someone reported in 1964 at the first meeting of a Plastics in Building Construction Council. Unlike the automobile industry, where only 4 or 5 companies had to be sold on plastics virtues, in construction, there were literally hundreds of decision makers. You had engineers, designers, architects, contractors, subcontractors, material distributors, home and building owners, all of whom had to be educated on plastics and if they were good and what you can do with them and how they're just as good as anything else. It was a crazy thing to kind of sell, because you can probably, you can sell somebody like a housewife on, the stability of a plastic plate.
Sure.
Because she's the decision maker for the thing. But for home construction, well, it just, all these people you just rattled off like, oh, we're not going to do that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Worst of all were apparently local building codes that were typically controlled by conservatives bent on protecting traditional materials and the building trades that worked with them. And I mean more like conservative in building, not necessarily politically conservative, although that does happen too. In 1955, they had set up a code advisory committee whose members attended meetings of the nation's 3 major code writing associations, like building codes and stuff, for years. What they would have to do is they would get people who were against using plastic in building. They would light a candle and they would hold a piece of plastic over a candle to convince code officials to ban plastics from construction sites.
Oh,
even though it wasn't like, it might not have been the same kind of plastic, but they hear plastic and they don't understand the intricacies of different polymers added into the plastic to strengthen them or whatever. They just hear plastic. Well, that's not, it's some fire risk. We're not going to be doing it.
Oof.
So 13 years after the house was installed, so about 3 years after it was removed, the head of the project at Monsanto admitted that of the total poundage of the plastic house of the future, about 2% of that tonnage was actual just plastic. The rest was fiberglass and other materials. So even wasn't really just plastic. It was, plastic adjacent.
Right.
Even now, Monsanto's House of Plastic is doing heavy lifting, enabling us to remember the company name in a light that doesn't necessarily shine into the darkened corners of this timeline, one where Monsanto, poisons people and sues people for, their seeds getting into their land and gives cancer to people. It's just a lot of bad stuff. Don't worry about that. Think of the house of the future.
Yeah.
So here, let me go back up. I made a list, or I didn't make a list. I found a list of all the different plastics that were involved in this house, right? And I only researched some of them because it's a lot. But you have something called cellulose acetate, Ultron vinyl films and sheets, Steinmer vinyl and styrene textile sizes, Script-like melamine, urea and styrene paper finishes, Saflex brand vinyl butyrol laminated glass, Resolume melamine and urea textile finishes, Resinox phenolic and resorcinol adhesives, Resamine melamine and urea formaldehyde resins, Polyflex brand styrene film and plastic sheets. You had vinyl chloride resins, Monsanto polyethylene, Monsanto Pinto wood preserve, blah, 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 blah. Something called Gelvatex polyvinyl acetate paint base. Then you had something called Acrylan, which was acrylic fiber made by Chemstrand. Now, in the late 70s, this was actually found to increase the number of cases of cancer among the workers at the Chemstrand plant threefold. But government officials said that users of the finished product made with acrylonitrile, which is the chemical thing, probably ran little risk of incurring cancer. Probably ran little risk.
Probably.
So don't worry. We think you probably can't get it.
Probably.
Yeah. The other thing that was featured heavily in there was a bisphenol A in epoxy resins, otherwise known as BPA, which is now being banned by a bunch of stuff. So now most of this is like poisonous and not very good for you in the construction phase when they're making the products, right? But you know that all these things, what do they call VOCs or whatever? They doing the off gassing. So I just imagine going through that house in the first couple years.
Oh,
and just the stink, man.
Oh yeah. But like this, I have a question. Do you not like the smell of plastic because you know it's toxic now?
Oh well.
Because I wonder if I
don't know how to answer this.
If it was like new car smell and it was like, oh, like no one thought much of it. It's just like, this is the smell of the future.
I see what you're saying. And that's probably exactly what it is. They're like, oh, the government wouldn't make anything that could hurt us.
Of course not. Government's on our side.
Yeah. Okay. Let me scroll back down. We're winding it up here, folks. There we go. So during this time, as I mentioned in the 50s, 60s, there were at least two other firms working on plastic houses. Within a few months of Monsanto's pitch to MIT, so what was it, 1954, other firms publicized designs for two quite different plastic houses. One, a ranch-style beach house with exterior wall panels of fiberglass designed by architect Robert Fitch Smith and built in Florida by the Russell Reinforced Plastics Corporation. The other, though more innovative, was only a small model, and I happen to have a photo of that here. Working for General Electric, industrial designer Elliot Noyes had envisioned a fiberglass tent or umbrella curving down at four corners to enclose a pavilion-like space whose four elongated side arches would be filled with vertical panels of plastic and glass. This Noyes design actually helped steer the Monsanto design team into, quote, exploring compound curvature and shell structure, end quote, because the GE model looked like nothing else out there. One of the goals was to make plastic its own thing and not simply a replacement or substitute for existing products. Flat walls, like in the beach house design, could be built with wood already. There was no point, but Monsanto wanted to push the boundaries, so they happened to see this, and it does look crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they saw like, oh, maybe we should do that.
It's so flat, but also bulbous. I don't know how to explain it. It's very odd.
It's like if you took a handkerchief and put it over a plate and then tucked the corners in.
Yeah, like when you're heating up a tortilla in the microwave.
Yep, exactly right.
That's what it's like.
The house of the future might not be, The house of the future might be gone, but it is not forgotten. Over the years, Imagineers and fans have been keeping the memory of this plastic cloud alive. The Club Buzz stage in Tomorrowland back in 1998 as part of the area refresh, which is now Tomorrowland Terrace, had a replica of the House of the Future attached to the sign, I think it was. Also, as part of the 1998 revamp, the mural in that area had a small outline of the House of the Future. For Disneyland's 50th, banners appeared on Disneyland's Innovations building, honoring iconic attractions of Tomorrowland. And of course, our friend was the House of the Future, was one of them. Inside of the Innovations, you could find yet another replica of the house in the living room scene, cozied up to the fireplace. And on and on and on. There's like some video games. So the House of the Future, still slaps to this day. And I did have like a list of companies that helped design and produce some of these things. And I thought it was interesting. You had the Bell telephone system. So they were in charge of the push button and preset dialing phones, hands-free speakers and transmitters, caller viewing screen. The Crane Company, they did modular bathrooms with the toilet and the tub and all that kind of stuff. Ford Glass Company did all the safety glass, stuff like that, man. But what I did like is our friend John Hinch he got a shout out because he designed a couple pieces in there. So
I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see. So what I want to do is I wanted to end the slideshow here with just a couple of pieces that I pulled from Daveland Web that just kind of vibe out. Okay. This is the vibe of the House of the Future. Here's the first one. Now, this looks like Mom sitting in the master bedroom, just lounging in her best lounge, like nightgown.
Well, she just took her lorazepam or whatever they took back then.
Wow.
She is feeling good.
And I think I think most of her position here is because this chair looks uncomfortable, but she has like a half folded magazine, and if you've ever seen a woman faint in the 50s in a movie, this is the setup that she's in. But it's in this like baby blue sheer nightgown with a cape or something like that. It is awesome.
And she is passed out.
She's done. I think she's reading, but she looks like she fell asleep. I don't know. It's wild. I love it so much. This next shot, I love this so much. So this is, I believe, again, in the master bedroom.
Oh, wow.
And
what a good view.
It's of Mom in a very nice dress, talking on the video phone, and through the window in the background is Sleeping Beauty Castle.
Wow.
So that's the direction. That's one of the ends of the bents were pointed towards.
That's a very cool
castle.
photo.
Very, very cool, right? This design, I don't know where this is in the house, but it's just classic like 1960s decor. You have a peach panel and a teal panel. It's just it's very vibey. I love this. I love this picture. I love it so much. This next picture, these are just some of the cool people that you see around. This child standing next to his mom or grandma in front of the House of the Future with his face just pussed out. He is not happy. No. This young man is not pleased at all. You could just see it. And then the white socks with the black pants and the black shoes.
Yeah.
Love it even more. I think that's
his feet
great.
probably hurt.
Oh, my God. This man right here definitely will not be stealing your garbage at night.
What is he doing?
So there was like at some point, I don't know, I should have looked a little bit more into it, but like in front of the House of the Future, there's like all these flag poles, and I guess they had just flags of different states maybe or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the states initially.
Okay,
yeah.
There you go. So this is right between Oregon and Minnesota, it looks like.
Hello, I make the state flags.
Yeah, and this guy is probably, I don't know, 10 feet away from the house. And then the person taking this picture is probably an equal 20 feet away. It's just so crazy. And he's just in a mustard colored sweater and just staring very awkwardly. And I love it so much.
Yeah, that my grandpa, that looks like a picture of my grandpa. Like that is exactly how he dressed.
What if it was, dude?
Was that his first photograph ever in the history of photographs?
This next one is probably one of my favorites. These are all my favorites. It's hard to pick which one. It's a Japanese family. Now this old man and this older lady are like on the grass, which it looks like you probably shouldn't be on the grass, and maybe kind of facing the Matterhorn in the back, and the Monsanto House is on the right hand side, and their son or something is taking a photo. And someone's taking a photo of him. It's really styled nicely because the old man has a cane. Of course, he's a suit on, a nice hat. They look like they're about to go to church or something like that.
So elegant. Yeah.
And it's the composition of this photo is really great too.
Yeah, it's a really good photo.
This last one is so what they used to do for Christmas and stuff every now and then is they would kind of like dress up the area. One photo I didn't include, they put a massive bow and ribbon around the house of the future. So in the seams between the two bents, that's where this big fat ribbon would be with like a big bow on top. And it's really cute.
Awesome.
But this picture is great because Matterhorn's in the background. And then you have the house. And then in front of the house, you have all these, what I can presume are aluminum Christmas trees. The fake aluminum late 50s Christmas tree.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so cool, dude.
It's all a vibe, and it matches perfectly.
Yeah, it is. And I believe that's it. Let me make sure I got my notes. That's it. That is the story of the House of the Future, everybody.
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
That's wild. I love it.
That was cool. I had a great time researching that, man.
Cool.
That was fun. That kind of stuff is fun for me.
Yeah.
Especially because we got to prove a rumor incorrect. That's
Love
my
doing
favorite
that.
thing to do.
Very cool.
Yes. Good job.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna do a quick round of Disney news, and then we're gonna get out of here, Eric. Right?
Yes, we will.
Past, present, and future with all the news that's fit to cover. It's the Ears Up Disney News.
All right, go for it, Eric.
Okay, I was gonna say I can't hear the theme song very well, but
you're all right. I turn it down. You're good. Yeah.
So both of you,
yes,
you've been to Walt Disney World.
Yes.
You've ridden on the rock and roller coaster starring Aerosmith, right?
Correct.
Yep. Absolutely, I loved it. Absolutely, Aerosmith was the worst part of that whole thing. The coaster is great. I love it. I loved the inside. I loved how they did it. Everything was cool.
Well, good for you. In a few months, in 2026, the ride is coming back, but with the Muppets.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely.
We've talked about this.
No, go ahead. No.
Oh, okay. We've talked about this a little bit before. We don't. There really isn't that much more information now, but it is confirmed. 2026. Rock and roller coaster starring the Muppets coming back.
Love it. Great choice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's they've got a whole backstory that's ridiculous. The new owner of the Muppet Theater is J.P. Gross. He puts the G in G-Force, which was the original studio name, G-Force Studios. It's layers on layers. It makes no sense. It doesn't matter.
No. Well, it's also the Muppets, and I feel like you can get away with not making sense.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing, and you're going to get your VIP passes. You're going to take your super stretch limo through LA. It'll be great.
Nice. Can't wait.
It's next year.
I guess I have to wait.
Yeah, I guess you do. Sorry. Really sorry. I guess the main event.
You don't want to talk about this, do you?
Well, no, I do want to talk about this.
Okay, all right.
Because there isn't that much to say. That's why I wanted to preface it with something that was a little bit more interesting.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, Disneyland Resort hotels have often had this bonus where you could go into the parks an hour early, and they'd alternate between which ones you could get into DC or Disneyland. But starting January 5th, 2026, We're saying goodbye to early entry. We're saying hello to a free lightning lane.
Okay. So early entry is going away.
Sorry?
Early entry is going away.
Yes. Early entry is going away. We're going to open up at the same time, but whichever park you go into, you get your lightning lane. But it's part of the it's the group of lightning lane multi-pass attractions. So we're not talking Rise of the Resistance, where you still have the single lightning lane. We're not talking Radiator Springs Racers, where you also still have the single lightning lane. This is going to be part of that multi-group, but you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for...
I don't understand. What do you mean, the multi-group?
Oh, my goodness.
Pretend like I'm dumb.
We're all dumb when it comes to this sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know there was a difference between whatever you were saying.
Yeah. So if you cast your minds back to the several months ago when we had Genie Plus and then we had the Genie Plus.
Right.
So if you wanted to go on the cool ride in the one park, you had to spend extra. If you wanted to get Lightning Lane or Genie Plus for like most of the rides,
yes,
that was a different thing.
Okay,
that you paid for.
Okay.
Now, and they're saying there's going to be more like information coming soon. So we don't know the full details, but basically, once you go in, you're going to have a lightning lane because you stayed at Disneyland Hotel. You can go into Disneyland and you can pick one of those basically not Rise of the Resistance attractions.
Any of them
as
but
your
that.
free lightning lane.
Okay. So just the kind of like, I don't say boring, but mid-tier kind of rides, not the e-ticket, for lack of a better term, right?
E- ticket.
Okay.
Not the F tickets.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, but also like, come on, can you just?
I know. Can it just be any of them? Like, it's so annoying.
It's adding another layer of
excitement,
opportunity.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. But yeah, it's just another thing that we have to look forward to because we don't know what. All of this starts in January of 2026. They finally opened up reservations for Disneyland in 2026 just a couple of days ago. So we're all learning how this new thing is going to be. This might be one of the reasons why they delayed reservations for so long, because normally we have reservations opening up a couple months ago.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So all of the concierge folks are tearing out their hair saying, I want to book people for 2026. We can't yet.
Yeah.
And this is probably the reason, because they're changing the rules again. So if you're staying at one of the Disneyland hotels, there are 3, you can get this free lightning lane. But it's not one of the expensive lightning lanes. You can't go on. It's been so long, I can't remember the fake name for Radiator Springs Racers. We've come back around in my mind for this.
That's fine. Radiator Springs Racers, that's what it should be. That's.
I know. It's difficult to maintain some of these jokes forever.
I know, right? Because then it just becomes reality, man.
Yeah.
Right. But then Rise of the Resistance is the other one that you have to pay for. That's your single lightning lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Each park has their single lightning lane. They're separate from the multi. Multi-lightning lanes are
like multi-ride. I get it. I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's kind of the Max Pass sort of thing that we used to enjoy.
Yeah. That's interesting because they had an hour early entry, then they dropped it to half an hour, didn't give you anything for it. Now they're taking it away, which also then, rope drop is just going to be a nightmare to get into in the first place because you're going you're going to have all these people that are staying on the resort queuing up with, all the other schlubs.
It's everybody doing rope drop at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with this.
I'm okay with it too because I will never be affected by it.
Right, that's the thing.
So I don't care, and I'll get a free. If I stay on the thing, I'll get a free pass.
Yeah, I think it kind of stops people from doing rope drop, which I think is fine. I don't feel the need to rope drop, I guess, and so
I never have. We've tried it once or twice, and it was not fun.
And I understand wanting to get as much out of the park as possible, so you get there as soon as possible, and maybe you run to the ride that you're going to have to stand in line in for a long time. But to me, this actually is a much better solution to that problem.
And really, I agree with you. The last time I did rope drop, we were rope dropping Walt Disney.
Right.
Oh, okay.
It was on the 70th. We wanted to see Walt.
Yeah.
And it didn't. It was all a virtual queue. It was fine. but really, when it comes down to it, this is why we get along, because my wife is never awake when rope drop happens.
I don't want to be awake then. I just walked 4,000 miles the day before. I want to sleep in.
I will walk 4,000 more. Yeah. I agree. You know what? I think the more you go to the park, and not everyone's going to be happy with this. I know social media is a flitter and a flutter with people being very upset by this, but I would bet that most of them are just upset because Disney's taking something away and not adding something of equal or lesser value back, which is kind of was my first reaction. But then I realized I will actually be gaining from this if we stay on the resort, because I can go at 10 o'clock and I still get a free lightning lane.
Well, and I think you actually are gaining something back.
Right.
And I think what you're gaining back is more valuable, because you are not guaranteed at rope drop that you are going to get to the ride that you wanted to get to, and that you're going to be able to stand in less of a line. You're not guaranteed that, but this does guarantee you that.
Again, this is why you two are my people. That's the thing. We're not queuing up to stand outside and run inside the park and go to Indy, or run to Runaway Railway, or whatever the newest strategy is. We still get one lightning lane, even if we didn't sign up for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hate lightning lane, I know people that don't want to pay for that experience at all.
Yeah.
So you get it for free. You're staying at the parks, and it's, as far as we know right now, again, they did say that it's not all the details are not out yet, but let's just assume you walk into the park, you can open up your app and go, I want to do Guardians today. Oh, good. 10 o'clock. Great. We're good.
Yeah.
And you don't have to sign up for anything extra. You don't have to be there at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., whatever the early entry is for that day. Because I don't want to be up that early either.
I actually really think it takes a lot of stress out of planning your maybe not planning your trip, but being on your trip and having to stick to this schedule. Everybody get up because we have to do rope drop. It takes that out of it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine the amount of family fights that this will curb?
I think it will for some, for sure.
I agree. I'm being 100% genuine.
Yeah.
The amount of Timmy, let's go.
Yeah.
Come on. We're going to be late. We don't need to do that anymore, folks. We don't need to do that. And to be honest with you, look, I love Disneyland. That's fine. I don't need to ride. I don't need to be the first to ride the same ride I've ridden 25 times before.
Yeah. I think this is great, actually.
Yeah, I'm right with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may be the wrong audience for the rage.
Yes, definitely are for that that particular rage. For most rage, we're the right audience. But.
Yes, right, absolutely. Very good, Eric. Thank you for doing the Disney news for me. I appreciate you.
Oh, hey. Let's see. One other news thing.
Oh.
The Pixar Pier park entrance.
Yes.
Closing.
Ooh, really?
Why, I wonder?
Huh.
It recently reopened. The leading theory is because Coco is going there.
Oh, that's
the new Coco boat ride is going to go into that area. But if you stay at Pixar Pier Hotel, you still get an exclusive entrance into. Basically, you can walk across the street and go to the Grand Californian and enter DCA through their back entrance into Grizzly Peak area. So they've got another option. It's not that much further than the one that they had that dropped you off at Corn Dog Castle, which is a place where no one wants to be.
That's true. All right.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem quite as cool though. But gotta do something.
Going into Grizzly Peak from Grand California is less cool than going to Corn Dog Castle. I
think so. Well, it's longer.
Well, I mean, I think also because you're going from a how do you say a not so premium hotel into a premium hotel to then go into the park. So it is a little bit of I don't know. This is what you could have had.
Next to Soarin' when you walk in. People like Soarin', right?
Sure, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good entrance. It just sucks. Yeah, that you're not at that hotel.
Yeah, you have to see something better. Yeah.
I don't know. Walk through and go, wow, this is cool. We get to walk through this thing that we didn't pay for.
I'm telling you, dude, staying at Grand Californian one time was enough. I don't ever need to stay. I don't think that's worth it. I don't think that hotel is worth the price.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of, the rooms are boring. The building is beautiful, and I love the pools. But yeah, the rooms are just
The rooms need a second upgrade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their last upgrade was like USB ports.
Yeah, it's so boring.
Yeah.
Look at them.
Now we need USB-C. All right, is that it, Eric?
Yeah, sure.
All right, good.
That was Disney news.
Awesome. Good job.
Hell yeah, dude. Where are we? There we go. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody, to the history of the House of the Future. And if you're listening to this, I think in a couple of weeks, well, I don't know. If you're listening to this at some point in the month of August, we're thinking we're trying to hit up 21st Amendment at some point. I was just in his stream earlier talking about that. So we're going to get some good craft beer over the 21st Amendment in San Leandro. And if you want to do that also, if you're in the Bay Area, join the Discord and figure out what date we're going. But if you're not in the Bay Area, ask your local craft beer bar, your local place where you get good beer. Hey, do you have any 21st Amendment? And if not, can you get some, please? I would really appreciate it. And they would be like, yeah, for sure. And then you'll be a happy person because you're drinking the 21st Amendment beers. They're delicious.
Love it.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you in the parks.